Have you ever looked at a reservoir or the coastline and wondered what stories might be hidden just beneath the surface? Today, we're diving deep into the British landscape to uncover the memories, the loss, and the forgotten communities that now lie in a watery grave. This is the question, isn't it? It's not just academic, it's deeply personal. It forces us to think about some really difficult choices. And it's at the very heart of what we're exploring today. What gets sacrificed for what we call progress, and what, if anything, can actually survive when a place is gone for good. Sometimes these lost places don't stay lost forever. When there's a long, hot summer, the water levels in reservoirs like Lady Bower in Derbyshire drop. And when they do, something incredible happens. The ghost of a former village literally reappears. You can see the stone skeletons of old farmhouses, a church tower. It's this haunting, powerful reminder of the community that was once there. But not all of these drowned villages were flooded on purpose. For centuries, long before we started building massive reservoirs, communities all over Britain were fighting a losing battle against the raw power of nature. This is a story as old as the island itself, really. Coastal erosion, massive storms, these forces have been slowly, relentlessly redrawing the map of Britain for thousands of years, swallowing entire towns and forcing people to just retreat, leaving their homes to the mercy of the waves. And wow, the list of these lost places is long and epic. We're talking about the vast prehistoric world of Doggerland, the bustling medieval ports of Ravensor-Odd in Dunwich, and even the small fishing village of Hall Sands in Devon, which was tragically wiped out in a single brutal storm. Each one is a testament to just how powerful the ocean really is. Just think about Doggerland for a second. Imagine this huge, populated landscape connecting what is now Britain to the rest of Europe. After the last ice age, the sea started rising, slowly swallowing it up. And then, the final blow. Around 6,200 BC, a massive tsunami, literally a wall of water, swept across what was left, wiping out the hunter-gatherer people who lived there. An entire world just gone. Okay, so this is where the story really pivots. Losing your home to the sea? Well, that's a battle against nature. It's tragic, but it's different. In the modern era, a whole new kind of loss came about. One that wasn't caused by a storm, but by a decision made in a boardroom. And this set up a totally different conflict. A small community versus the so-called greater good of the nation. So what drove this new era? Well, in a word, thirst. In the 19th and 20th centuries, Britain's industrial cities were exploding. They were growing at this incredible rate, and all that growth created an unquenchable need for fresh water. So planners would use diagrams like this one to justify their decisions. On paper, it all looks very rational, right? You weigh the economic benefits here against the social costs and environmental impacts over there. But how do you actually put a number on a community's history? Its soul. For the people who actually lived in these valleys, these neat little boxes just missed the point completely. So to quench that thirst, big city corporations looked towards the beautiful, water-rich, but, let's be honest, sparsely populated valleys in places like Wales and the north of England. They didn't see communities with deep roots going back generations. They saw perfect, natural bowls just waiting to be dammed, flooded, and turned into massive taps for the industrial machine. And nowhere, nowhere, is this conflict more stark or more painful than in the story of Capel Celyn. This was a small Welsh-speaking village in the Trevewyn Valley, and it was sacrificed to provide water for the English city of Liverpool. You can just feel the pain in this quote from a former resident. It wasn't just about losing a home or a farm. It was this profound, crushing sense of powerlessness. A decision made hundreds of miles away in another country was about to completely and utterly annihilate their entire world. 35. Just let that number sink in. 35 out of the 36 Welsh members of Parliament voted against the bill to flood this valley. But it didn't matter. In the UK Parliament, they were just outnumbered.
It was this devastatingly clear demonstration of where the real political power was.
The fight for the valley was long, and it was bitter. It started with protests, with people traveling to Liverpool to plead their case. When that was ignored, the resistance got more radical, with some activists even planting a bomb on the construction site. But in the end, it wasn't enough. By 1965, the village, its school, its chapel, its post office, 12 farms, it was all gone, submerged.
The drowning of Capel Celyn sent shockwaves across Wales. It became this incredibly powerful symbol of English indifference or even oppression. This event is often seen as a major turning point in modern Welsh history. It basically lit a fire under the nationalist movement and fueled the calls for Wales to have more control over its own affairs. So what happens to a place after it's gone? I mean, it gets wiped off the map, sure. But does it really disappear? No. It enters this sort of afterlife, one that's shaped by stories, by myths, and by this really powerful sense of longing. There's a great word for this. The writer Svetlana Boym defined nostalgia as a longing for a home that no longer exists. And that just perfectly captures the feeling around these drowned villages, doesn't it? They're physically gone, but in our memory, they're preserved, frozen in time, perfect and unreachable beneath the water. And this intense feeling, this nostalgia, it gives birth to some really powerful folklore. All across Britain, the most famous, most haunting story you'll hear about these lost places is the legend of drowned church bells. You hear this story everywhere, from the lost coastal towns of Dunwich to Singleton Thorpe. The legend goes that on a stormy night, fishermen can hear the church bells tolling from deep beneath the waves, like a warning. And here's the really wild part. This myth is so powerful, it's even told about reservoirs like Kielder Water, where they actually demolished every single building, including the church, before they flooded the valley. The story, the spirit of the place, just lives on. And this brings us to this incredible quote from the philosopher Maurice Blanchot. It sounds like a riddle, but it just nails it, right? The disaster ruins everything, all the while leaving everything intact. The physical village is destroyed, it's ruined, but in another way, in our stories, in our politics, in our memory, it's still there, perfectly intact, maybe even more powerful than before. So at the end of the day, these places are so much more than just historical footnotes. They're these constant, nagging reminders of the tension between progress and preservation, between a community and the state. They show us that even when you physically erase a place, its story can send out ripples for generations to come. Which brings us back to that question for us right now. As we face our own massive challenges, climate change, resource scarcity, we're going to have to make tough choices about our landscapes and our communities. The stories of these drowned villages ask us to stop and think, what is the real human cost of the decisions we make? And what price is truly too high to pay?